This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms and opportunities for businesswomen to be seen and heard. This platform is for the women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. Come and join the Shine On You Crazy Daisy membership, offering online networking, co-working, collaboration, and monthly masterclasses for you to grow your knowledge. Go to thedaisychaingroup.com for more information. These are the platforms to hear and share the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. I am your host, Trudy Simmons, and I am joined today by the quite wonderful Kylie Patchett from the Radiance Revolution. Kylie, hello. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the book and the podcast. Please tell us about your business.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Kylie. I have a business called the Radiance Revolution, and I'm very passionate about helping women in their 40s and 50s and beyond to really harness midlife as a time of metamorphosis, not as a time of crisis. So we've been messaged about all these things about growing old and what that means and blah, blah. And I'm like, we can just throw the F out the window. Are we allowed to swear? No, I won't swear. And just, embrace this time when we may well have more space if we've had our kids. We've got a little bit more like time, wisdom, and this right for reinvention, but instead we're like, oh, I'm going grey or I'm blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we don't have to do this aging thing today. So, yeah.
I love it. I love that you're doing this because you had a successful business of your own with health and business coaching, and then you decided to walk away and go back to corporate. How did that happen?
I burnt it to the ground. So here's the thing. You know the story, but in a nutshell, my first business, I started off doing health and lifestyle coaching, which is what I'm passionate about. Every single job I've ever had in marketing, corporate, like health, everything has all revolved around health of the individual and health of teams. So psychological health, emotional, physical, mental, et cetera, a whole ball and dose. And I loved that part of my business. And I had a group program called Destination Delicious, which is still my most favorite thing I've ever done. People that went through it made beautiful changes and harnessed what they really wanted, created these beautiful friendships. And then I stopped listening to my own internal guidance and started listening to people out there. And one of those people was like, you're never going to make any money in just coaching around health. You need to, because I've got all this business experience, you need to move into business. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And I created business coaching, group programs, etc. And they're in my wheelhouse. I know what I'm doing in business, especially marketing, communications, and social media, and pitching and sales and all of that stuff. But it's not what lights me up. I'm even saying it out loud, I'd rather stick a fork in my eye than do that all the time. So I created this business in the first instance that lit me up from within and was totally aligned. And then I got off track, and then something major happened in my personal life. One person in my immediate family had quite a bad accident, and I just went, I don't have the bandwidth. But I also really, if I'm honest, knew that I was so off track. There was no, in my mind, there was no salvaging. So I was just like, I'm just going to burn that to the ground, walk away, go back to corporate. And I've been doing that for 5 years. And then out of the blue in February this year, I was in meditation and I got this really clear, you're starting business again. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, but that voice didn't go away. So here I am. So I'm actually straddling both worlds at the moment.
What I absolutely love, Kylie, is that I was a part of that business group. And you were my first business mentor in my business.
Back in the day.
12 years ago now. 10 or 12 years ago. And in being on the other side of what you created, it was phenomenal. The content that you had, the way that you produced it, and this was 12 years ago, so it was harder to do some of these things. And the way that you were able to communicate with me, not saying I'm difficult, but I remember getting a card from you saying you're difficult. It
I believe.
But I also love hearing you live your truth, as we talk about now, live your life in saying, I didn't, I loved it for a period. I then didn't love it. I stopped it. I burnt it to the ground, and I'm doing things differently. It's so important to walk your talk.
And you know what? There's people out there like you who are brilliant at that part of the puzzle. Like, I don't have to be everything for everybody. And I think that's a pattern that I've had for a lot of my life, because I have always felt it's not the fixer thing, but that I'm a tendency to over deliver and over give and over support and it's like I forget what I need. And now, like, I've only just learned about human design. That's a whole other conversation. But for me, I'm a generator, and the key thing is, like, follow your joy. And I'm like, well, man, that would have been handy 20 years ago, wouldn't it?
And in that conversation, you say in the chapter that good enough is a form of self-neglect. I wish that everyone could hear that. What does this mean to you, and how has it shown up in what you used to do and how you used to act?
I feel like I abandoned myself left, right, and center. And this is a new kind of phrase that's got in my head. I've been listening to a lot of Glennon Doyle's podcast, which I love. And in one of the episodes, and I can't even remember who she was talking about, or two, but she was talking about this concept of abandoning yourself. And I realized that my settling for what I'm good at, but what doesn't light me up, is exactly that. I've been abandoning myself. Oh, I've got that, when you're speaking your truth and you get that little vibrating. I just feel like I have constantly felt that good enough, like it's not for me to chase the big dream or to feel that good, like who am I, like all that sort of imposter syndrome bullshit. And now I'm just like, I'm sorry, at the age of almost 50, I'm like, screw that. I'm here to really peel back the layers of where I have actually been just letting it be okay, rather than beautiful and brilliant and juicy and big and bold and gorgeous, or quiet and special and gentle, and like whatever it is that gives me that. I will still use a Destination Delicious, my soul wagging its tail analogy. Like, when I get that feeling, that's my sweet spot. And then there's all these other times where I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm good at that, so I'll just keep doing it. And it's like, no, it's self-neglect, self-sabotage, self-abuse. I'm going to go that far. And I'm just not willing to do it anymore. And a lot of I think it's the age, right? We get to this age and we're like, we don't give an F what anyone else needs or wants. And that is why it's right for reinvention. It's like, far out, man.
Yeah. I don't think that people can understand when you're in your 30s and you hear people talking about when you get to your 40s and your 50s and, oh, you don't care anymore. You just do whatever you want to do. And there is a time of 41 and a half, I think, where it's like, oh, I changed in the last year, and you don't realize, and everything becomes more possible in what you are willing to accept and not willing to accept.
Absolutely. And it becomes more painful to abandon yourself too. I think that for me, like between 45 and like I'm 47 and a half now, especially on the, like, I keep saying I'm almost 50. I mean, I'm just 2.5 years. Come on, slow down. But it's like, if not now, when? Like, we don't know how long we've got. Like, my beautiful dad was here for 91 years, and I've just always assumed I'm going to live that long. I'm like, I could, we don't know. So listen to the painfulness and the out of alignment and actually do something about it, instead of just whinging and bitching about whatever.
And don't neglect yourself, and realize when you are.
Exactly. And how do you tell? You tell because you don't feel like, if you really, really just sat with yourself, closed your eyes and went, hey, you, how are you feeling? And the internal voice that is answering you back, you haven't even listened to for years, you're off course. Like, just forget about it. Like, I know, right?
I think I need a break. Like, I just need to sit with that for 20 minutes and, oh my God, I'm going to listen back to this immediately, because this is all, it's so important. And it's funny, I've been recording podcasts all day today, and somebody else was just saying something very similar about self-care, But self-neglect is so strong. And when you just said self-abuse, it's one of those trigger things that goes off in you. But I wouldn't abuse myself. Well, have a look.
Well,
have a look.
And also, would you expect anyone else to do what you're doing to yourself? That's the other key thing. Like that best friend filter, like how are you talking to yourself internally? I have an absolutely vicious, mean little person internally. One of the things that's been key for me in the last sort of like 5 years of healing, and I think moving back into the coaching space, you get a lot cleaner listening to your own inner language, because you're now back in the space of, like, when I was back in corporate land and I was, on the treadmill again. Yeah, you're not, I shouldn't say you're not doing that checking in all the time, because it becomes less of a habit for me. But yeah, now listening that there's a key modality called internal family systems. And when you understand that there's all these different parts of you, that like one part of you can want to do the thing that gives you this joy and peace and light and radiance and all those beautiful things, but there's often an equal and opposite force inside of you going, but it's not right, it's not okay, you're not good enough, or you can't do that, like all that. And when you can actually surrender to the fact that there is different parts of you warring with each other, and it's actually very normal, then, because underneath that is the little wounded person that we need to, heal and love up. And the self-abuse and self-neglect, often, like, I am really, really clear that me living in a childhood that was chaotic in one house and very stable and normal in another has actually given me this boom or bust, up and down. Like, that's what I create time and time again in my life, because that's what I experience. And it's not until I've started to do some serious healing on the underneath little person that went through that you go, holy shit, I have been settling and abusing myself for so long, because that's what I'm used to. That's like, okay, time to shake that off.
Kylie, I am so excited that you are back out into this world, into this entrepreneurial world, because you are needed. Your voice is needed. Your messages are needed. I needed all of that. Right.
So did I.
And this leads brilliantly onto, you talk about consciously creating the life you crave. Do you think that you have that now, or what are you working on?
Oh, hell no. I'm going to be very honest and say at the moment I'm straddling 2 different corporate gigs and being back in coaching and arranging an 18th for my eldest daughter, who, how the hell could she be 18? She was like this big 2 seconds ago. Now she's 18. So I feel really stretched at the moment, but I'm much better at recognizing the patterns that we all have patterns that are our defaults. Like, mine is overworking, over delivery, stretching myself too thin. Then I fall in a heap, have a big hissy fit, yell at everybody that's most close to me, and then go, okay, here we are again, and I'm at the peak of that, like literally at the moment. But I'm also better at understanding that when I am getting angry with everyone out there, it's because I'm doing it to myself. So, I could be, so mad at my family for you're not listening to what I need, or you're not supporting me, whatever. It's like, hello, let's start saying, I'm not listening to what I need. I'm not supporting myself. I'm not taking time out. I'm not honoring myself. I am abusing me. And then I don't think, I'm not at the consciously, creating the life that I crave, but I'm on the journey towards it. And there's these delicious points in time where, like, my husband and I have just bought a big cruiser motorbike again after many years of not having, when you have kids and you're like, oh, we'll be responsible. Truth be told, I am the happiest I've ever been in the world on the back of a motorbike, and I'm saving for my own motorbike, which is going to be called Black Betty, by the way. Anywho, Black Betty, the Kawasaki Vulcan. If anyone wants to just give me one, thank you. So I'm working on manifesting, but that the joy piece of and this is the reinvention back to being like a couple rather than parents, and being very identified as parents. I'm much better at squeezing the juice out of the things that give me joy, and I'm much better at asking the hard questions, and knowing that the patterns and the self-sabotage come from somewhere, and until you do the healing underneath it, you're going to recreate. It doesn't matter what you promise yourself and what plans you make, and what schedule you say you're going to keep, you will recreate the same thing until you heal the shit underneath it. And that is unavoidable. I tried to ignore that fact of life for many years. And unfortunately, there's no getting away from that.
I think in that is the question that we can all ask ourselves of what is the life that we are craving? Because without having that, we're already neglecting, because we don't know what we're craving. Therefore, we don't know what we're working so hard for or towards.
And be okay with wanting what you want, because I live in the countryside in Queensland. I have a very simple life. We grow out, well, when I say we, I mean my husband grows all our own veggies. We ride motorbikes on the weekend. We have, a small little country cottage. I don't need the stuff to be happy. And for many, many years, I drove towards the stuff because I was trying to prove my significance and my worth and all of those things, which again come from childhood crap. And now I'm like, we were away for the weekend for my parent-in-law's 50th wedding anniversary. And we came home yesterday. And I was just sitting in my kitchen window, I'm looking down the backyard and I can see all the plants and everything that Shane's grown. And I'm just like, this bubble of contentment that comes up when you allow yourself to want what you want. Like, you don't have to create anything else. And I will say that about business too. Like, F the whole 6-figure month, 7-figure bloody blah. Like, just do work that lights you up. If you have something inside of you that's locked away and you can't unlock it, get some help to freaking unlock it, because your gift is needed. And just be you. You don't have to recreate anything else. And that's where I went off track the first time. Like, I tried being someone else or following someone else's plan.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Business model. No.
Yeah.
No. If there was one lesson that you've learned that you want every entrepreneur to know, what would it be? Or would it be that?
Oh, I think, like, going back to human design quickly, I'm a 3-5, which means that I need to suck it and see to see whether it feels good for me. Like, I can't conceive yes or no. I actually have to experience it. And for a long time, I made myself wrong for that, because I felt like I tried and failed so many times. Like, I had a massive issue with coming back into the business world in February, because I'm like, but I failed the first time. And I was like, no, there was so many people in my inbox when I announced I was leaving that were like, oh my God, thank God you're telling the truth. Like, blah, blah, blah. So I think surrender to who you are. Like, I am someone who, I need to try things on for size. And sometimes I put something out there and I'm like, oh, no, that didn't feel the way I wanted it to. So just be okay with being you, and I think for me, the resilience, like, business is not smooth sailing, and you need to be okay to fall down and just keep getting up, which is why I call my chapter like fall down, fall times down 7, get up 8, because without that bounceability, business is really,
I like it. Hey, what's your favorite piece of business software?
This one. My heart. So you asked me this question the other night via text, and I was like, oh, business software, and I'm thinking about the different things, and I'm like, you know what, the main thing that is guiding my business at the moment is what I get when I'm sitting with myself. And I always talk about in the Radiance Revolution, the first step to any recrafting or reinvention is just anchoring into this beautiful baby in your chest.
Our software.
Our software. And listening, because we don't listen. We unfortunately live in a world that's ping, 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 interrupt, email, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
I loved when you said that. It's just so off the wall, and it's so Kylie. And it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. I've never thought about it. It is our business software. It was our
it is. Absolutely.
Kylie,
and it's our life software.
I am so excited that you are coming back out to this entrepreneurial world, and thank you so much for being involved in the book and the podcast. I can't wait for others to hear your story.
I was so excited to be asked. I was at footy and I'm like, yes. That was so good. Thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to reconnect, and thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been lovely.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please like the video and click the subscribe button for this channel for more inspiration. If you're a businesswoman looking for that community that will support you and lift you up, come and join the Shine On You Crazy Daisy membership, offering online networking, co-working, collaboration, and monthly masterclasses to grow your knowledge. Go to thedaisychaingroup.com for more information. And for even more inspiration, please go to the link under the video and get your copy of the Shine On You Crazy Daisy series of books with inspirational and motivating stories from businesswomen around the world.